Good evening. Welcome, and thanks for coming. Some of you coming again. This is a very big moment in the Anarchestra enterprise because it's our first major lecture series. It's also our first grant-funded project. This is a result of us getting this grant from the Rhode Island Council of the Humanities, who has made this possible. There are 3 lectures and a jam session. This is the second of those. This is Brian. That's all I have to say. This is.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
I was expecting like.
I could give you like a bio.
Yeah, with my bio. I want to hear my bio.
Good evening.
You can go in.
Welcome. And thank you so much for some of you. This is a branch movement in the Anarchestra enterprise because it's our first major lecture series. It's also our
I'm going to start, you put your fingers in yours. I'm just going to drum a little bit. This is going to be a drumming thing.
That's all I have to say. This is pretty loud.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
I was expecting like, close your eyes, but
I could
pretend it's not
have
happening. Yeah, but I am primarily and I just thought it'd be good. You can go in. Just play a little drum.
Yeah, I just kind of heard from
5 minutes. Prepare yourself, however you wish.
Brian,
I don't know how loud. I'm not a curator, like kind of a noise musician. Invited 10 drummers internationally, all go to Sharjah for this thing and do the drumming performance, which was like a really funny, I mean, it was amazing. It was an amazing, weird trip. Sharjah's very conservative. I only saw men, mostly. Every once in a while you see them, sort of slip by, the horizon. But we got to drum in really wild city. And but at the kind of there were a lot of pinnacles. One of the pinnacles was we played for this group of young men who were all deaf. They come from all over the Middle East. Like they weren't wealthy kids. They were just like kids from around, Palestinian, kid from Jordan. And there was like a whole crew. And there were the 10 drummers all set up, and we played, and then they would write down what they felt. And my interim was what's your approach? Person? So my approach was just the dumbest approach, because that's sort of my style. Just like I'll hit it hard as I can, maybe like break through or something. But whatever. If you get hard enough, you can feel it. Like people were trying fast. People were just playing their drums, the way they would play the drums, this is me, how does it feel? And I was just like trying to communicate vibration level. But I remember just jumping up, slamming on the kick drum, like over and over. And then I mean, just so stupid and basic. But it was wild to play. They got super excited, because they could tell your hands and stuff. It was pretty wild. And the sad thing is, it being 20 more years on the side, awesome. Hopefully not. And the technology says that who knows, slumpy, shit, years. So I know this isn't about me. This is a lecture, kinetic energy, or an Asher. I thought it was kinetic sounds. I don't pay attention to my usual. So it's barely a lecture. It's more just about kineticness in general, I would say. But I'm also going to talk about myself and like I am a drummer. And so I'm going to just start out a little of like my origin story of playing the drums. Years ago, when I was in high school, and it was like I had a best friend, and then his dad married this woman, and she had a son who was our age, and he had a best friend. So like it was 4 kids we thrown together, and one of that two dudes, one guy played like bass, he played songs, that was the thing. Couldn't play anything else, and the other guy played like loved the Rolling Stones and played guitar. So me and my friend didn't play anything. And so we both went to sing, and I drew straws, and I was lost. And so I got stuck playing the drums, which wasn't my thing that I wanted to do. And I talk about it sometimes, kind of like the best thing I ever lost. Like it was just this, I went from one thing to the other thing, and then it kind of shaped the trajectory of my life, really just like becoming a drummer. And then I've gone on to become a singer in a way too, so I kind of got around that little loss, that loophole. And I was telling someone out here, this guy, baseball hat, Mark. Yeah. Would you say you were like, have you ever played the Shells House since the 90s? Yeah. And so I was like, I haven't changed these Shells House since the 90s. And this drum actually, I came to Providence for school in the early 90s. Been here a long time. And I had like a kit that was a bunch of drums, and it was kind of quiet. And there was this dude also in school who had this like loud kit with less drums. And he was kind of becoming hippie from being a punk, and then I was kind of becoming like I don't know what, I was just like punk getting more punk. And so we traded drum sets, so I gave him the hippie drum set that I had, like the nice sounding, really beautiful, probably better drum set, and then he gave me his like clunky, loud, try to communicate with deaf people in the Middle East drum set. And so that's when I got this kick drum. And then the funny thing is, it's this guy Pat Mahoney who then went on. He's like the current, or he's been the drummer of the LCD sound system like the whole time. So I don't think he's probably playing that same kid. But when you see LCD sound system, just think about me. So I have some note cards. The first one is drum, and then origin, and then. So what is kinetic sound and kinetic energy? And why am I not talking about it? Or what access do I have to it or something? So I actually Googled it, and I was like, what is kinetic sound? To see like what exists, like what is it a thing? And it's not a thing. You Google it, you get you just get like advertisements for sound paneling. So we can make up the genre right now if you wanted to. But I mean, I think maybe the reason I'm talking about it is because Asher asked me if I had Chris Forge's contact info. I don't know if you guys know Christopher. He performs. He used to live in Providence. He's in New York now, but he's a fantastic illustrator and performer, musician. Yeah, but Asher asked for Christopher's contact, and somehow I ended up stealing Christopher's invitation to lecture on kinetic sound. So that's why I'm talking about it. But I do think, my process, like the way I think about music or the way I approach music, I think lends itself to the idea. I mean, there is no kinetic, I don't know if there's much, the idea of kinetic sound is talked about much, but like, obviously there's kinetic art. And I mean, kinetic itself is just like something that's in motion. And a lot of kinetic art, and again, other people probably know more about this than I do, but it's just things that are kind of perpetually in motion. Like you're looking at kinetic art images and it's just like little wheels spinning or like things walking on the beach, which is, have you seen that? Oh my God, on Instagram, like you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Those crazy beach wood walking things, So, I mean, kinetic art just feels like it's stuff that's perpetually in motion and perpetually, just going and going and going, and then and sends itself into motion. And so, as a player and as a drummer, I sort of strive. I mean, like obviously, I'm not going to be in perpetual motion; it's sort of impossible. But I do try to let. Like, I play in this band called Lightning Bolt, and I play a lot of solo stuff too, and the way we kind of approach things is we try to stress, like energy should never be subjected to song. Like, energy kind of is the goal, and song is kind of the means. And I don't know if that's kinetic sound, but that's like the only entry point I have to that idea, is to just like stress energy over craft, stress energy over aesthetic, or energy over, I don't know, any aspect of song you can think of, like harmony or, and that's always been our approach. And we don't always get there, like we fail a lot, we end up writing songs. But the creation of those songs generally is made by applying that kind of tactic to things. And I also, as a visual artist, I sort of strive to do the same thing, which is, and I struggle with the same thing, which is kind of like, how do you invest, or how do you kind of put, or communicate energy in your work, but also communicate some sort of narrative or communicate some other idea in that work, like where's the balance? And then when I think about kinetic sound, I would kind of think about that maybe there is no balance, that it's just like energy first, and sort of like structure second or something. Like that would be the main focus. So, but I thought as a way to just kind of get into this, or get into this, I'm going to drag some people into stuff. So, I mean, one of the goals of Asher's whole situation is that we have all these instruments set up. Well, I don't want to, I'm not going to drag you over here. You can do that later if you feel.
Also, I should introduce the Anarchestra to those who are new.
Do you want to?
I did forget to do that, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So the Anarchestra is a collection of 300 outsider musical instruments.
300?
Yeah, just 300 of them. A lot of them are like little flutes. Yeah, most of them are flutes. But just proportionately. But
maybe like flutes and flutes.
Yeah. They were all built by an artist, Andy Thurlow, who's kind of nomadic and lived all over the U.S. Built the first one at Fort Thunder, the famed Providence Artist Collective, which is how you knew him ostensibly.
It's not how I knew him.
Oh.
Did he build the first one there? This is the first. I never heard that.
Oh, really? That's what I was told when, as to the justification as to why they're in Providence, is because the first one was built here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll believe that.
How did you know?
I knew Andy earlier than Fort Thunder. Fort Thunder was like mid-90s. I knew him a couple years earlier. I lived downtown in what's now like Risdy Gratz Studios. And he lived down the hall with his 2 dogs. And like, it's weird. And my memory is that he somehow parked his trailer up on the 5th floor. But I don't think that's really true. So, yeah, and Andy, I mean, it was crazy because at the time, then, I mean, 30 years ago, I was like, whoa, he's like this old, like gnarly artist guy. But he was probably 35 or something.
He was like made of leather though.
He was made of leather.
Yeah, he had a really, so he passed away, he had a number of strokes 2 or 3 years ago. When he died, his friends were just like left with his life's work, which is like particularly cumbersome to have because it's 300 large electric instruments. And so they were looking for a place to put it. They ended up finding this mill. And just through happenstance and Dan, I ended up being the stewardess of these instruments. And then Brian, of course, also in the mill. So it's a perfect serendipitous collaboration.
Yeah, it was so wild because I got a text from Andy a few years ago. I haven't seen Andy in forever. And I got a text a few years ago, and I have friends that are closer to him, and it was wild. He was kind of like, I had a stroke, hard to write, trying to show my instruments in Providence, and can you find a space or something? And I think I wrote back being like, oh, check it out, and then I like forgot, or there was a couple people kind of looking into it. I just didn't really do much of anything. And then suddenly my space is on the other side of this building, and I find out that this like crazy collection of his stuff is moving into the space. And I met one of the people that was I don't know who I met, but somebody that was part of it was moving them in, and I was like, whoa, this is Andy Thurlow, this is amazing. Like, how's Andy? And he's like, he's dead, which was pretty surprising. And yeah, I mean, he wasn't a close friend, but he was an old friend, and he was someone he was a really interesting individual. Very like rugged. He lived in Tucson for a long time.
Yeah, he was like a desert man.
He looked like Tucson in human form, just like.
He looked like a tumbleweed.
He looked like a tumbleweed.
The only like instruction manual for all of these instruments is that he made videos of him playing about half of them. So there are these like camcorder videos of him demonstrating each one, but then the rest is like it's anyone's guess.
That's right.
Do you need it?
No, I'm checking it.
As an organization, our mission is essentially to. He had an idea of democratized music that was like open source and totally accessible and totally intuitive and worked outside of traditional notions of musical mastery. So they're all built to be just like approached through any kind of lens, novice and master-like. So as an organization, we essentially serve as a library of instruments that people can come and play. We have open hours every other week. They're always open to rent or to record in the space. And essentially, it is just a like living collection of instruments that we're slowly repairing and eventually building more of. So yes, that's the introduction I should have given before, but that's
right. That's what I was waiting for when I was sitting there. I think it's going to be more. But that's great. Now's a great time. So I'm thinking what I'd like to do next is, because
I don't know, I don't do lectures very often, and I don't even know what they are really. I wanted to do something different, and that was more like to make some racket, and I can do them by myself, or you guys can join in. It'll be sort of some exercises. And I thought the first thing we should do, actually, I had this, because I was thinking about the kinetic sound and what, like how do you talk about kinetic, like why, you know, it'd be more fun to sort of try to take part in it. But the first thing I want to do, and maybe it'll work, is I want to redesign the room. I want the chairs. You guys have to help with this. You can put around with other stuff, but you have to help with it. So we're all going to stand up and we're going to make like a U out of the chairs. We can like start right here. So yeah, U shape. Got their spot back. I actually did think the musical chairs were pretty fun.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to kinetically sound based. But to start, I'm gonna basically just like sort of say a tone, and you can join in or you can not join in. I mean, it'd be rad if you joined in, but if you don't want to join in, it's totally fine because it's like I totally understand the idea of bowing out. You know, if you need to save your energy for a later date, that's totally cool. And I was actually thinking that like, if you do choose to just chill and not do stuff, if later on you feel like you're like, I'm finally ready to make that tone sound, like feel free to interject. Like maybe we'll be whispering and then suddenly you're doing your loud tone. That's totally fine. That'll kind of add to the environment. But I'm gonna do like, I'm just gonna try to hold a note for a little while. And we used to do this, actually, I remember the first time I did this was at Fort Thunder where Andy Furlow created this stuff that I can't remember at the time. It was like a dude house. There was like 12 of us and one woman and like too many guys and too many cats and one litter pan and really gross. And the grossest area was the bathroom, of course. But I remember this one day, we were all in the bathroom for some reason, which was very small, just screaming as loud as we could together, which was not what we did. We were very like you play in your room, I'll play in my room, you know, maybe we'll come together every once in a while. But this one day it was this really rap, maybe I was probably drunk, maybe. But I wasn't drunk, I was like fully there. So I'm gonna try to think about that, and it's gonna sound like Kinetic cult. If you want to stomp, you can stomp. I'm going to stomp a little bit. Potato. Automatic. Now we have a song. Automatic potato. Automatic potato. Automatic potato. Automatic potato. Automatic potato. But I was thinking, like, what is, like, how can you find and how can you demonstrate kinetic sound? I don't even know why it's like, it's funny to even talk about the lecture series on kinetic sound. Like, I don't give a shit about kinetic sound, but just the idea of, like, I mean, I do and I don't. But, you know, passing sound through a series of filters, just passing sound down. And so I thought that would be a good exercise, and I was also thinking of Rohan, and I basically was communicating. I was thinking, like, I'll just, you know, how do you do a lecture? You communicate to a group of people like they're all 7-year-olds, and then you just go from there. But anyway, yeah. Fingers and ears. That's kind of for a kid if they don't have one.
They have
Okay, good. So, like, to try to, I was like, today, as I was messing around in my studio that's over there, to kind of prep. Saying I gotta prep for this thing. And so I put on the Milford Graves. Does anybody know Milford Graves?
Yeah.
You said that. You said that? Milford Graves is a free jazz drummer, was a free jazz drummer. Also passed away recently, who I very sadly did not ever get to meet. But there's a documentary called The Full Mantis, which is just about him and his process. And I was thinking, like, if there's anybody that's going to talk about kinetic sound, it's going to be Milford Graves, because he's just like old school 60s, 70s free jazz drummer who carried up until like 2020 or something. He never really talked about, he talked about his garden, he talked about bugs, he talked about martial arts. He did not really talk about playing music at all in this whole thing. I mean, there is a lot of drumming and stuff. It's an amazing film. I highly recommend it. I just listened to it. I watched aspects of it, parts of it. But he does, there's this amazing, the whole reason it's called Full Mantis, and it's so good, not to ruin the kind of the pinnacle of that movie, but I will do it anyway. He's talking about, so he's a martial artist as well, and he is talking about wanting to learn this mantis move. That's this, like, I think it's maybe it comes through Kung Fu, I'm not sure. But like no one would teach him the mantis move where he was in Philadelphia. And it was sort of like it could only be taught to, I think the way he was talking about it, like they wouldn't teach to him because he was an African American man. And they were like, you could only learn this special move if you were kind of like culturally relevant to the move. Like you only, I think it was only Chinese people could communicate to Chinese people, like they wouldn't let him into that circle at that time in the early, like late 60s, early 70s. And he was just like, come on, I want to learn this move. And he was just like, and it was called the half mantis, was the move he was trying to learn. And he was like, well, forget it, I'll just go to the source. And so he started studying praying mantises. And he was just like, well, if I can't learn from you, then I will learn from who you learn from. And so he was just like, and so he studied praying mantises and he learned this like version of this move, which he was just like, I never got. But not fully. I mean, it happens here and there. It weirdly doesn't happen enough. Like it's something that like disturbs me sometimes in so much music that I listen to, is that it always feels so tightly controlled. Even jazz these days, like I'm not a jazz listener really. I kind of like jazz from a certain area, like free jazz from the late 60s or more like early 70s. Sun Ra, if there's another record to check out that I think is like off the rails. There's a Sun Ra record called, it's like Live in Ann Arbor, 1973, I think. And it's just like so sick. It just goes like further than you think it would go. So there's like a legacy of that kind of music, but there's not. I mean, I don't know. And it continues on. I want to talk about in the late 90s, and he still goes to this day. There were these Japanese artists. It was Merzbow, and there was this guy Masana. Japanese noise was this big thing. Like when I came to school, I'll just generally like the way I do this when I do my talks, which I do like all the time. I'm talking all the time. Very tangent oriented. So let me go on a tangent. Off of that tangent. When I came to school, I went to Rhode Island School of Design, and my roommate was this like guy from Texas, and I was from Philadelphia, and he whatever, he was a dude from Texas. He's very Texas. He's becoming more Texas all the time. What was the point? Oh yeah, but he had gone to the school called Interlochen in Michigan. Does anybody know Interlochen? And he went to school like Jewel. Jewel was there at the same time as him. And the dude that became Patti Smith's boyfriend for a while. And Patti Smith came to Fort Thunder once. And that was the one, there were like 3 days I wasn't in that place. I wasn't there when Patti Smith came.
Patti Smith.
Yeah, I wasn't there when Annie came over, and I wasn't there when somebody else came over.
Bill Clinton.
Oh, no, Mike Nichols. Like the director of The Graduate. I wasn't there when Mike Nichols came over. But I was there when Latifa played, and I was there when Man Sebastian played. That was great. I see you, Fox. Oh yeah, but Matt went to Interlochen, and his roommate or a good friend of his there was this guy from Japan who was like a crazy Japanese noise fan. So it was like the early 90s. Like nobody knew who the Boredoms were, or like Hannah Trash or Asana or Merzbow. Like nobody knew who that was, but because my soon-to-be roommate Matt was like hanging out with this Japanese guy that had like 500 cassette tapes of all this stuff from Japan that he gave to Matt when he went back to Japan, and Matt came to Rhode Island School of Design. I ended up in a room with him, and then he's just like opens the suitcase, and it's just like endless Japanese noise. So it was like the early 90s, and we had this like crazy collection of Japanese noise. So the Boredoms are a huge influence. But in 99, we went to Boston to see this Merzbow show, and he is like an electronic, at the time, I think it was all pedals and distortion. He's moved on to computer stuff, but it's just like searing, shredding, like shrapnel noise. And we were so psyched to see Merzbow. But this guy named Masana was playing too, who we didn't know much about. And Masana, or we'd heard some stuff, it's just like, it basically just sounded like shredding feedback, like not much to it. And where Merzbow was like all these crazy layers, and it was just like this moving, violent sound. And so we were like, all right, let's get Masana out of the way so we can see Merzbow. Masana played, and he had a box. He had like a box with like a coin in it, and maybe like a pedal or two. And I swear it was like watching Motley Crue in their prime, which maybe means nothing to most people, but they were good. I never saw them, but they were good in their prime.
They came to
I'm on my way, I'm on my way, home sweet home. I mean, that's a little after the prime, but Masana was so, it was like ultra energy music. Like he thrashed around like a man. I mean, what it's like, what is impressive or what is sound or what's exciting, but it was exciting. Like he controlled the room. He was thrashing around like a lunatic. I think he like broke his back at one time at like in a show, which again, like, why is that good? It's not good. But it's like wildness is, I don't know, like when you see energy, when you see a human communicate energy, it's just so exhilarating. Like when it's effective, and it was so effective. And it was so wild. It was watching it was just like watching like a million metal bands all play at once, and there was a guy with a coin in the box. And it was incredible. And then Merzbow played, we were just like, it was so boring. He tried. He had like a guy dancing. We were like, you just can't even match. But anyway, check that out. Masada 99, Boston. Maybe find a bootleg. But I have some other activities for us planned. I have all these little cards. I have to get through all of them. We haven't done this. Did this. Haven't done that. Sort of did this. Oh, I gotta do that. Talked about bowing out. Asana. Go for graves. Here's an activity. Kinetic music. Oh, I haven't done that. I'm saving this one for last.
Oh, that looks fun.
Jeremiah.
Yeah. Grand finale.
Let's see. I want to do another thing. And this one requires everybody to stand up. Okay. And so I thought for this exercise in kinetic sound, it's called mass mumbling microdistion. So again, you can just step to the side and not get involved. Or you can just start walking around and talking like this. But everybody's got to do it. Everybody's got to do it. Now, the next one is this. Whoever holds the stick has to make noise with their mouth, or some kind of noise. And again, if you want to like not do it, just hand that stick off fast. I'll start. Yeah. Okay, stop. Back to the sides. You don't have to put it in the same spot. You're in. Okay, now triangle. So the three of us are doing a triangle. And you want to end on this? This is what we're doing. I have sound in my hand. I'm going to throw it to you. You're going to throw it to you. You're going to throw it to you. I'm just going to do a little catch, game of catch. One more trio. We have space. One more trio. Oh, look at this. They're so ready. Wait, it's over. Wow. Whoa. Faster. If anybody else wants to have a catch, you can just pick front. Oh yeah. Does everybody know how to whistle? You know how to whistle? We all whistle? Did you do like a delivery motion? I'm not even. Yeah, this is the part. No, keep going. Let's try to make this sound. What? Go forever. Someone has to carry the torch, so don't let this drop. That's really fun. It's like that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
What time is it?
I don't know. It's like
I feel like that's a good.
It's 8:21.
I feel like that's a good final act. That last thing.
You want to do chair pile?
What?
You want to do chair pile?
Chair pile. Stuff on a chair.
I'm so excited for chair pile.
Chair pile. Word on it. All right, you small children, if you guys get hurt, you can